it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today's project is this one, which uses the Bottles and Bubbles framelets and stamp set. Bubble Over is the stamp set, and a few other things, which obviously I'll go through with you. So the inspiration for this was actually this invitation I got to an event that was held by a fairly well-known UK body shop product supplier, and you've seen me use some of their products in past videos. I've tried to blot out the name as much as possible just so that it's not too much of an advertising campaign for them, but I hope you can see the similarities and how I got the inspiration. So let me show you what I did and how I made it. So let's start with, so this is the stamp set that I used, and the framelets that go with it are the Bottles and Bubbles framelets. These are both in the Spring Summer catalogue, and they are a bundle, which is always great. Of course, at the moment during the celebration, bundles are even better because you can get free stuff. And the real plus with this particular set is that you can get free stuff that goes with it, which if I had planned, hey, when did I ever do that? I would have found it in the catalogue. So anyway, the free stuff, here we are. Right, so this is the stamp set stamp set and bundle. The bundle, because it's a photopolymer, it's a really reasonably priced stamp set. The bundle, which is these framelets and the stamp set, if you buy them together, if you don't already know this, you get 10% off, which means you can get the two for just £36. So if you add another £9 on, you will qualify for a celebration item. One of the celebration items, this is the framelets, one of the celebration items is paper that matches. I have done videos using that before. I'm actually very low on the matching paper at the moment. Let me just show you what I have got. But it does not just match, it matches the framelets. So let me just, this is all I've got left at the moment. So we've got the bottles, which do match the framelets. So if I take the smaller one, you can see that those match up, and I did a project earlier in the year doing exactly that. And I think I did a male-female version. There's bottles, there's bubbles, there's stripes, there's a sort of honeycomb with little bottles on the back, coloured bubbles, stripes with bottle tops, and the bottle top framelet matches up, so you can get embossed bottle tops out of the paper. So yes, stripes of sort of background bottles with a squiggle on the back. So it's not just bottles, you can actually use it for more generic projects as well. And in fact, my last project for the Inspire Create Challenge group used the reverse of some of these for the background on my card. So yeah, I think it's a great little set. I think it's got a lot of possibilities. It's got straws which have actually got embossed bends in them. I mean, it is really cute. Anyway, so that's that set, and as I say, if you buy it as a bundle, it's £36, which saves you 10%, which is always good. The other items that I have used are the Layered Leaves Dynamic Textured Impressions Embossing folder, and that is for this background. The Dynamic gives 2 levels of embossing, so I used that, which was to replicate that. Oh, what's the invitation now? Oh, there it is. It was to try and replicate this background. The garden trellis would also work quite well for that. And then I also used it's becoming a bit of an old favourite now, the everyday jars. I used this framelit here just for the sprigs. So I have done some preparation because there's quite a bit of die cutting. So, and I'm doing a slightly different colourway just to see what it looks like. So the original is So Saffron, Lemon Lime Twist, Whisper White, Basic Grey and Smoky Slate. I'm using the same colours for the stamping, but this time I'm going to do Smoky Slate and Lemon Lime Twist for the card base, and whereas for this one I cut it short and long. Does short and long work? Anyway, you know what I mean. This one I'm doing as a standard, and I'm going to have it as a gatefold rather than a not gatefold. Right, gatefold? Is that the word? Anyway, I'm doing it the other way round. So, I have already done the embossing. Now, when you're doing the Dynamic Impressions embossing folders, you don't need the shim. So the standard platform that comes with the Big Shot when you order it through us is the standard Big Shot platform and the thin die adapter. When you're using these dynamic embossing folders, you don't need the thin die adapter, and you only need one cutting plate. When you're using an ordinary embossing folder, you use 2 cutting plates, but for the dynamic ones, because they are so much thicker, they act as one of the cutting plates. So just the platform and 1 cutting plate, and be good to go. So that's the sandwich. I will show you how I've done the stamping, but I have already done the die cutting, because otherwise we are going to be a bit, you know, there's quite a few bits to die cut. It did take a little while. So I'm using a D block, and I've already got the sentiment lined up on the other side, so I'll just line the smaller of the bottles up on that side, and because I think it's an easier colour probably to see on camera, and because the sun has now gone in, let me put another light on. I'm going to use Lemon Lime Twist. I need a piece of, actually I don't need a piece of scrap paper. I am going to bring in my piercing mat, because even though this is a padded surface, because it's a very solid image, it's better to use a piercing mat because it's photopolymer. So I'm going to ink it up with Lemon Lime Twist, stamp, come up and stamp again. So we're using 2nd generation and 1st. And then I did the same with the So Saffron. Yeah, just stamp once and stamp off, and then die cut out. So I don't need the bottle anymore. So pop that back. What I do need to do is stamp the sentiment. So I've already got that mounted up. So let's get Smoky Slate. The dimensions for everything I'm using will be on the blog post, which is linked immediately below. So don't worry about any of that. I will go through it as we get there, but for the moment, this is just a scrap. It's an offcut from when I cut my mats. So I do have quite a lot of these around. Every now and again I have a purge and get rid of them all. But they are very useful for sentiments, particularly the Very Vanilla and the Whisper White. So Smoky Slate, and this is the May Your Day Bubble Over with Happiness. And there we are, nice clean stamp. And pop that to one side to clean up later. And get rid of the piercing mat. Pop that back where it lives. And I'm using the triple banner punch, which will then flag the end. You could do it manually, and I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm just going to feed this through. It's way too long, so I'm going to pull that through, pull it back so I can see where it is, then push it back in the opposite direction so I know that I'm not going to do anything naughty. Just line it up on the front, which means it will then pretty much be lined up on the back. Just check by eye, punch. And there we are, nicely flagged. Now, if you don't have the triple banner punch and you don't want to buy it, I think it's brilliant. It's called triple banner, by the way, because it's got already cut into it inch, inch and a half and 2-inch grooves. So that's why it's called the triple banner punch, just in case you were wondering. So if you don't have that, the easiest way to flag with your snips, just go straight up the middle. I need to clean these, they've got glue on them. And then just from the corner to the top of where you've cut, just flag. So it's very easy to do by hand if you don't have the banner punch. So let's put it all together. Right, okay, so I have, as I say, already prepared the bottles and the bottle tops. These bottle tops, and you get 4 bottle tops. No, let's actually try and use the, I was about to bring the stamp set in. So you get your 2 sizes of bottles, 2 labels, which you can also use. They cut the holes for ribbon to run through. So that's always useful to know, and they fit beautifully on the tags. So this is the larger of the 2. If I take that off, you can see it fits nicely inside that tag. You get 2 bottle tops, if you like, a thumbs up, a little heart, bubbles, these 2 straws, so a right and a left, and 4, 2 large and 2 small, 2 large, 2 small, side bottle, like crown caps, and this is the one that you can do straight over the top. So it's a nice little set, it goes brilliantly with the stamp set and also with the free designer series paper from Celebration. So I've already cut on silver foil, if I can pick them up that would be helpful, the little bottle tops, and I've done 4 of those because I've got 4 bottles. I've got lemon lime twist in full strength, lemon lime twist stamped off, So Saffron, and a half bottle of the So Saffron stamped off because I don't need full bottles for everything, and tops for each. So these are all just, again, scraps. Let me just grab... oh, in fact, you saw me, didn't you? So this is just a scrap. It's an offcut from when I'm cutting mats. So don't throw those sorts of things away. They can be very useful. So the embossed mat is my standard second layer mat. So this is 5.5 by 3 3/4 or 14 by 9.5 centimeters. Say this will be over on my blog, linked directly below to the post for this. Smoky slate card mat. This is 5 5/8 by 3 7/8 or 14 1/4 by 9 3/4 centimeters. And then lemon lime twist card base. So this was A4 cut in half, scored down the middle to make a standard A6 card base, and I've got the fold at the top, whereas on this one I had the fold at the side. But apart from that, that's it. So I've also pre-cut in vellum, and again this was just a scrap, 3 of the little leaf sprigs from the Jar of Love or Everyday Jars framelets. So let's pop it all together. I'm going to do all of the work on here first because I'm going to have to cut some bits off. The first thing I am going to do is stick my bottle tops onto my bottle lid, onto my bottles, because then I know I've got them done. Actually, I'm going to put the glue onto the bottle, not the other way round. I'm just going to get them all ready and then just pop the tops on. So just a little bit of multi-purpose glue. If you've got the multi-purpose adhesive sheets, then you could use that on the back of your silver foil before you die cut, and then it becomes just a sticker. I was using a scrap, and I really mean scraps. Let me see if I've still got, yeah. Oh, bash my head on the desk. So real little scrap, and I managed to get 4 out of that little place. Oh, sorry, 3 out of that little corner. So I mean, it really was a scrap, and it was a scrap that just happened to be lying on my desk. So yeah, it was one of those, oh, I can add bottle tops because I've got some silver foil left over. I don't like using little tiny weeny bits of foil and things like that if I have to cut into a full sheet. So I do try and keep the scraps lying around so that they're there. And because I am now beginning to add the multi-purpose sheets to the back of any bits that I use, I do even write on the back to say if it's still sticky, or to say if it's sticky, although this one, which I know has got the sheet on, I haven't. So, sticky! So I know that if I do any die cutting, I've already put the multi-purpose adhesive on the back, because it's not that easy to see that you have. Right, so those are the bottle tops on. So let's grab our base, and it was really just a question of creating a design that I kind of liked. So I'm not going to replicate it exactly. If I could pick these pieces up, that would help, wouldn't it? I've cut my fingernails because I keep splitting this one down, so I'm trying to cut it right back short to see if I can resolve the problem. Right, so we'll have that one there. Ooh. And actually we'll then have our dark lemon lime twist over the top of it, and then maybe so saffron coming in there, and no, lemon lime twist coming in there, and so saffron doing that. Okay, now all I have to do is remember that that's what I've done. So, and I'm just going to use, actually I'm going to use fast fuse, I think it will be easier. So if I pull those up as one-ish, I should be able to reposition them. So I'm just going to run some fast fuse up the neck of the bottle, right to the top, and then just layer these up. Oh, I need to make sure that that is okay. No, I think I'm going to go that way this time. So that's that one. Then that one. So this probably isn't at all what I had originally thought of. In fact, it's definitely not. But there we go, as in the order of where I'm putting them. It doesn't actually matter. So I'm not going to stress over it. That one, and then we'll pop that one there so that it covers up the little gap. Right, and then I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm going to bring in, I've got a pair of scissors that have a non-stick coating on, so I'm just going to chop those off, although it is fairly quick and easy to clean your snips. In fact, as my snips need cleaning, I might add that on at the end. Right, so that's that bit done. Then it's a question of adding on my vellum and some silver thread, because I thought it would be fun to add a bit of silver thread. So, good grief, we're on 18 minutes already, that's ridiculous. I'm actually, last time I added the silver thread after I'd put the vellum on, this time I'm going to add it before, and just possibly feed some of it through a bit. So I'm just winding it around my fingers a few times. It's a, you know, just keep it going until you fancy stopping. And scissors. Right, and a bit of fast fuse just to help stick everything down. And I'm not too fussed if it's not all the same size by the time it hits the paper. It's really just to have a bit of a frou-frou. This is a bigger frou-frou than last time, but that's fine. Right, and I'm just going to get some multi-purpose glue and just pop that on the back of the die cuts. These are going to be hidden, the glue is going to be hidden by the sentiment, so I'm not too worried that it's going to show through the vellum, because I'm just not really. Right, I'm going to have one coming in underneath, like that, and then I'll use the other two to help control the silver thread, like that. Then just grab my snips, and I'm going to just trim before I put the sentiment on. I'm just going to trim those ends off so that they're not poking out underneath my sentiment. Grab my sentiment and some dimensionals. Just want 3 of those, and pop those on the back. Get rid of my piece of paper because I don't need it anymore. And pop these, oops, get rid of the dimensional backing. Pop the sentiment just there. And then we can put the whole thing together. Now, generally speaking, you do not want, when you're using an embossing folder, to put your fast fuse or snail across the back, because you could actually push the embossing back. So I would always say, if you're going to use fast fuse, if you're using glue, that's perfectly fine, because glue is actually quite good to use on an embossing folder because it picks up all the ridges. But if you're using a runner, then apply the runner to the mat, not to the embossed image, because we don't want to push our embossing flat. Right, as I've got glue out anyway, I'm going to use glue to attach this then to the card, and then we're basically there. And I will save cleaning gick off my snips for another video, which might possibly be one coming soon. I won't do it as a top tip Tuesday because I don't think it needs to be quite that intricate. Anyway, there you are. Oops, I've got dimensional backings everywhere. So, question, which do you prefer? The one on the lemon lime twist with the smoky slate, or the one on the smoky slate with the basic grey? Leave a comment below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you don't already subscribe, do please hit the little subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner. If you don't subscribe to my mailing list, hop over to my website, which is linked immediately below, and you'll see, if you go right to the bottom on the web version, you'll see a form to fill in with your details. And if you're in the UK and you add your address and you're not a demonstrator, you're 18 or over, and as I say, you're not currently on the mailing list, then if you do that before the end of March, I will enter you into a draw, which I'll draw at the beginning of April, for a little card kit. So that's just as a little thank you from me for signing up to my mailing list. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will now leave you and hope to see you again very soon.